United Nations had.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Now that may have been from a movie, but over here, in our galaxy, we have a similar wretched hive. Over the last week, or just before, the World Health Organization wrapped up their annual conference. And in this conference, there were 3 resolutions passed against Israel. Israel was singled out alone among all the nations for specific condemnation. There was one resolution on Russia, another one on Iran, and the rest of the world, nothing. Including, I should add, Sudan, which 34 million people require urgent medical care. So this focus on Israel, well, it's nothing new when it comes to the United Nations. In 1975, a resolution passed at the United Nations by the General Assembly saying Zionism is racism. Now before that, Israel had been condemned before, but the argument was always that Israel had done something wrong. This time, the argument became that the very foundation of Israel was racist. It's saying that Israel itself is a crime.
For us, the Jewish people, this resolution based on hatred, falsehood and arrogance is devoid of any moral or legal value. For us, the Jewish people, this is no more than a piece of paper, and we shall treat it as such.
And from that moment, we see the obsession that there's been in Israel. Last year, there were 15 resolutions passed against Israel, 11 against the rest of the world. The year before, in 2024, there were 17 against Israel, 7 against the rest of the world. And before that, it was 14 against Israel, 8 against the rest of the world. And when I say rest of the world, I'm talking about some of the world's worst regimes like China, like Russia, like Iran. So it gives you an indication of the obsession over this single Jewish state called Israel. Just a short while ago, Israel's prison services were placed on a blacklist of, institutions using sexual violence in conflicts. Now on that blacklist contains Hamas and ISIS, and Israel was placed on the very same list. And the UN representative who did that admitted that she hadn't actually verified any of the information herself.
It's not the responsibility of my office to do any verification.
She was relying on information from UN agencies that she had received.
I just wondered if you'd viewed it with your own eyes. Or...
No,
no,
because this is not my...
So to rely on reports without independently verifying information yourself for something as serious as this, well, that should be a concern for any country and any institution. Because if one can use biased or unverified reports as evidence, then no place is safe from accusations like this. Israel also released its own report showing how information obtained from Hamas is presented as some kind of objective truth. That's why Hamas feeds information to all these organizations, and then they, rather than saying Hamas sourced, they say the UN says. And by slapping on the label UN, it supposedly gives some kind of legitimacy. But really, the source is from terror groups. And do we really want to rely on terror groups for information? Because that's exactly what's happening right now. I'm not saying every single UN official or every committee is tainted, but quite clearly there is a problem in that organization. So any report that comes out of the UN should not just be treated with caution, it should be treated with extreme skepticism. The resolution, Zionism is racism, eventually was repealed in 1991. Australia actually played a pivotal role in that. They were one of the earliest countries to campaign for its repeal. But the mentality that drove that resolution to being passed, that still remains.